67. Having rescued Tuoluo, Chan nature is secure. Escaping filthiness, the mind of Tao is pure. We were telling you about Tripitaka and his 3 disciples, who set out on the road once more, glad to have left the little western heaven. They spent about a month traveling, and now it was the time of late spring when flowers blossomed. They saw the green fading at various gardens and groves, and a sudden squall of wind and rain brought the evening near. Reining in his horse, Tripitaka said, "O disciples, it's getting late. Which road shall we take to find lodging?" "Master, relax," said Pilgrim, laughing. "Even if there's no place for us to ask for lodging, the 3 of us at least have some abilities. You may ask 8 Rules to chop some grass and Sha Monk to cut down a few pine trees. Old Monkey knows how to play carpenter. I can build for you right by the road a little thatched hut in which you can live for at least a year. Why are you so anxious?" "Oh, elder brother," said 8 Rules. "A place like this is not fit to be lived in. The whole mountain is full of tigers and wolves, and there are spirits and goblins everywhere. Even in daylight it's difficult enough to get through. How dare you rest here at night?" "Idiot," said Pilgrim. "You're regressing more and more. Old Monkey isn't bragging, but this rod I hold in my hands can even hold up the sky if it collapses." As master and disciples were conversing like that, they suddenly caught sight of a mountain village not far away. "Marvelous," said Pilgrim. "We've a place for the night." "Where?" asked the elder. Pointing with his finger, Pilgrim replied, "Isn't that a household over there beneath the trees? We can go over there to ask for 1 night's lodging. Tomorrow we'll leave." Delighted, the elder urged on his horse and went up to the entrance of the village before he dismounted. As the wooden gates were tightly shut, the elder knocked on them, saying, "Open the door. Open the door." From within a house an old man emerged. He had a staff in his hands, rush sandals on his feet, a black cloth wrap on his head, and a plain wet robe on his body. As he opened the door, he asked immediately, "Who's making all these noises here?" Folding his hands before his chest, Tripitaka bowed deeply and said, "Old patron, this humble priest is one sent from the land of the east to seek scriptures in the western heaven. It was getting late when we arrived at your honored region. We have come, therefore, especially to ask you for 1 night's lodging. I beg you to grant us this boon." "Monk," said the old man, "you may want to go to the west, but you can't get there. This is only the little western heaven. If you want to go to the great western heaven, the distance is exceedingly great, not to mention all the difficulties ahead of you. Even this region here will be hard for you to pass through." "What do you mean by hard to pass through?" asked Tripitaka. Pointing with his hand, the old man said, "Approximately 30 miles west of our village, there is a pulpy persimmon alley, located in a mountain by the name of 7 Extremes." "Why do you call it 7 Extremes?" asked Tripitaka again. The old man said, "The mountain is about 800 miles across, and the whole mountain is full of persimmon fruit. According to the ancients, there are 7 types of extreme characteristics of the persimmon tree. They are long-lasting, shady, without birds' nests, wormless, lovely leaves when frosted, hardy fruits, and large, luxuriant branches. Hence, it is called the Mountain of 7 Extremes. Our humble region here, however, is large but sparsely inhabited, and since the time of antiquity, hardly anyone has ever journeyed deep into the mountain. Every year the persimmons, ripened and rotted, would fall on the ground and completely fill up the mountain path, which is shaped like an alley flanked by boulders on both sides. After the frost and snow of the winter and the heat of the summer, the road would become one of such horrid filth that the families of this region nicknamed it Slimy Shit Alley. Whenever the west wind rises, a terrible stench would drift here, fouler than any privy you may want to clean. Right now, it happens to be late spring and we have this brisk southeast wind. That's why you can't smell it yet." On hearing this, Tripitaka fell silent, utterly dejected. Unable to contain himself, Pilgrim shouted, Oldie, you're rather block-headed. We've come from great distance to ask you for lodging, and you have to tell us all these things to frighten us. If your house is so crowded that there's no room for us to sleep in, we can just squat here beneath the trees to spend the night. Why must you be so windy?" Greatly startled by the hideous figure before him, the old man stopped talking for a moment. Then he gathered up enough courage to point his staff at Pilgrim and say in a loud voice, "You. Look at your skeleton face, flattened brow, collapsed nose, jutting jowl, and hairy eyes. A consumptive ghost, no doubt, and yet, without any manners at all, you dare use your pointed mouth to offend an elderly person like me." Trying to placate him with a smile, Pilgrim said, "Venerable sir, so you have eyes, but no pupils, and thus you can't recognize the worth of this consumptive ghost. As the books on physiognomy would say, the features may be strange and bizarre, but it is a piece of fine jade hidden in the stone. If you judge people only by their looks, you're completely wrong. I may be ugly, but I have some abilities." "Where are you from?" asked the old man. "What are your name and surname? What sort of abilities do you have?" With a smile, Pilgrim said, "Purva Vidiha was my ancestral home. I did cultivation on Mount Flower Fruit. I bowed to the patriarch of heart and mind, and perfected with him the martial arts. I can tame dragons, stirring up the seas. I can tote mountains to chase down the sun. In binding fiends and demons I'm the best. Moving stars and planets, I scare ghosts and gods. Stealing from heaven and earth gives me great fame. Of boundless change, handsome stone monkey's my name." On hearing these words, the old man's displeasure turned to delight. He bowed, saying, "Please, please come inside to rest in our humble dwelling." The four pilgrims thus led the horse and toted their luggage inside, where they saw thorny bushes on both sides of the yard. The second level door was flanked by stone walls, which were covered also by briars and thistles. Finally, they reached three tiled houses in the center. The old man at once pulled some chairs over for them to be seated, and asked for tea to be served. He also gave an order for rice to be prepared. In a little while, some tables were brought out on which were placed dishes of fried wheat gluten, bean curds, taro sprouts, white radishes, mustard greens, green turnips, fragrant rice, and mallow soup made with vinegar. Master and disciples thus enjoyed a full meal. After they finished eating, 8 Rules tugged at Pilgrim and whispered to him, "Elder brother, this oldie at first didn't want to give us lodging. Now he gives a sumptuous feast. Why? How much could a meal like this be worth?" replied Pilgrim. "Just wait till tomorrow. He's going to send us off with 10 kinds of fruit and 10 different dishes. Don't you have any shame?" said 8 Rules. "So, you managed to wangle a meal from him with those few big words of yours. Tomorrow you'll be leaving. Why should he entertain you some more?" "Don't worry," replied Pilgrim. "I'll take care of this." In a little while, it was almost completely dark, and the old man asked for lamps to be brought out. "Gong Gong," said Pilgrim, bowing. "What is your noble surname?" "It is Li," replied the old man. "I suppose this must be Li village then," said Pilgrim. "No," replied the old man, "for this is called the Tuolwo village. There are over 500 families living here, with many other surnames. Only I go by the name of Li." "Patron Li," said Pilgrim, "what particular good intention has moved you and your family to bestow on us this rich vegetarian feast?" Rising from his seat, the old man said, "I heard you say just now that you are an expert in catching fiends. We have one here, and I'd like to ask you to catch him for us. You shall have a handsome reward." Bowing immediately to him, Pilgrim said, "Thanks for giving me some business. Look how he causes trouble," exclaimed 8 Rules. "When someone asks him to catch fiends, that person is dearer to him than his maternal grandpa. Without further ado, he bows already." "Worthy brother," said Pilgrim, "you don't know about this. My bow is actually like a down payment. He isn't going to ask anyone else." On hearing this, Tripitaka said, "This little monkey is so egocentric in everything. Suppose that monster spirit has such vast magic powers that you can't succeed in catching him. Wouldn't that make you, someone who has left the family, guilty of falsehood?" "Master, don't be offended," said Pilgrim, laughing. "Let me question him further." "On what?" asked the old man. Pilgrim said, "Your noble region here seems to be a clean and peaceful piece of land. There are, moreover, many families living together, hardly a remote area. What sort of monster spirit is there who dares approach your high and noble gates?" "To tell you the truth," said the old man, "our region has enjoyed peace and prosperity for a long time. But 3 years ago, a violent gust of wind arose during the time of the 6th month. At the time, all the people of our village were out in the fields busily planting rice or beating grain. Quite alarmed by the wind, they thought that the weather had changed. Little did they expect that after the wind a monster spirit would descend on us and devour all the cattle and livestock left grazing outside. He ate chickens and geese whole, and he swallowed men and women alive. Since that time, he has returned frequently during these past 3 years to harass us. Oh, Elder, if you indeed have the abilities to catch this fiend and cleanse our land, all of us will most surely give you a big reward. We won't treat you lightly."